All right, so I'm gonna start the recording here and just do a few things behind the scenes. Let's see. Get us started with that. And if I didn't mess anything up, I think I'm ready to go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leola Carter, and I'm your host for today's webinar. I am a SCORE mentor in the Minnesota division, where we have over 90 volunteers serving Manatee and Sarasota counties. I am also on the education committee and excited to bring to you today's presentation on the mindset of a leader with Les Denard. I've been an entrepreneur myself for over 26 years, and so interested to see what I can learn from Les today. I believe that a few of my team leaders are tuning in today from the great state of Maine, so thank you very much for that. But before I introduce Les, just a little bit about us here at SCORE. We are a nationwide nonprofit that is an independent part of the Small Business Administration. What SCORE can do for you? We provide free mentoring services and educational services, such as this webinar, and we can help with all stages of your business plan, right from that first initial thought, all the way up, right through where it is time to sell. To find us, you can visit score.org/Minnesota, where you can find all of these great services. And today would not, today would not be possible if it weren't for our community partners and sponsors that we have listed here. And now it is time to introduce Les Denard, a man with a vision who has been an entrepreneur at heart since the age of 7. Les's dad taught him that if he allowed other men to control his time, they would control his money and therefore control his lifestyle. After achieving a nursing degree and practicing in healthcare for 10 years, Les saw the medical field change. He no longer wanted to work as an employee. He then transitioned into a full-time entrepreneur, which has led him to share his gift at relationship building and teaching leadership principles to others. And just a few more things before I let Les begin. If you do have any questions as the presentation goes today, please type those into the Q&A and we will get those answered for you at the end. If there's anything else you need or need to know, you can type those into chat. I'll throw out a little bit of information as Les is going as well in the chat box. And with that, take it away, Les.
Oh, thank you, Leo. I really appreciate having the honor and the privilege to be able to speak here at SCORE. I never realized SCORE was even out there. So when Leola and I was talking at the restaurant one day, we were talking about what I had just come back from a leadership meeting, and then she had asked me if I'd be interested in doing something with what we're going to do today. And I'm all about paying forward, and I love what SCORE does here because you get the opportunity to find a mentor, not a tour mentor, a mentor. There's a difference. There's a lot of people out there that say you can't do something, but you have to listen to the one that says you can do it. And that's one of the things that I love about when you're able to find mentors. I have several mentors in my life ever since I started playing sports, okay? And having that opportunity just led me to other people that have mentored me and continue to mentor me at the age I am today. And so when we look at mentors, we look at somebody who says, I'm not going to keep you where you're at. I'm going to bring you where you might be afraid to go. Some people think people that they call mentors might leave you where you're at. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. No, a mentor is going to grow you and stretch you and change your mindset, because I was always told that it's the power of association. Who you hang around is who you become. Okay. And my dad always said, you want to be a millionaire one day, son, you got to find somebody that's going to mentor you and show you how to become a millionaire. But if you're going to hang around broke nears, you're always going to be broke. So that was my mindset right there of doing that. I was an entrepreneur, like she said, at the age of 7. I had started to develop the mindset then based on the mentoring that I got from my dad. Because I was one of these guys that, just going to be honest with each and every one of you, I had a little chip on my shoulder growing up, as most people do when they're growing up. So my dad always said, "There's only three things I'm going to provide for you, son." And I said, "What's that?" He says, "I'm going to put a roof over your head. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to clothe you. Anything else, you're going to have to get on your own." So I said, "Well, what do you mean by that, Dad?" He says, "Well, if you want football cleats, you want baseball glove, you want whatever you want outside of that, son, you're going to have to work on your own." So my first spot of being an entrepreneur, we were farmers up in Massachusetts. And I started going around to what we call our community. Now they call it neighborhood, but we lived in like a community, right? There was about 15 houses where I grew up, and we were farmers. So I would get our vegetables and I put in my little red wagon. I guess I'm kind of telling you how old I am now. In my little red wagon, I would go door to door and knock on and sell our vegetables. And then when the spring came, I would go out and rake leaves. And then next thing you know, I'm shoveling snow. Uh, and it was just a recycling of what I was doing. But I was being taught not just to work, but to work for myself. And that was the unbelievable thing, because it taught me to say, I'm not going to let someone else control me. That's something I said. That's where my little chip on my shoulder came from. But when I look at the mentors that were in my life, I have a mentor that's always been mentally, physically, and spiritually. So I have three mentors. That's the basis of who I am today. Okay. And that's where you start to develop the mindset of a leader, because it's a process. People say, "Oh, that guy's a born leader." There's no such thing. A person may be born that develop the characteristics because somebody sees something in them that they don't see in themselves, and now all of a sudden you're a leader. Okay. And then you want to develop leaders, so you have leadership. So that's what I create. And so I've gone into a lot of people that's in the sales organizations, a lot of multi-level marketing organizations, and talked on this, because most people are afraid to be leaders once they understand what it takes to be a leader, and then what it takes to have the mindset of a leader. We don't think like 95 percenters, gang. We think like 5 percenters. Robert Kiyosaki came out with a book called The Financial Quarter years and years ago, and we've all read it. Well, to me, that was all of our lives right there. How we were going to develop in that process. And so he just said anybody that was on the left hand side of the quadrant, which was an employee, that was the first box, an employee of someone or something. We all went to school to get good grades, to go to college, to get a good job, and save our money. Well, that doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for an entrepreneur. Anybody with an entrepreneurial spirit will not allow that to happen. Because we always wanted to control our own time, therefore we can control our own money, therefore we can control our own lifestyle, then we can control our own destiny. That's it. Now, being an entrepreneur, is that easy? No, it's not. But it's the mindset that helps you get through the things that you're going to battle with. Okay. So then he said, "Well, you know what? You don't want to be employed, be self-employed." Oh my gosh, that was even harder. I was a self-employed individual. Ran 4 businesses for 15 years of my life. Had a maintenance company, a cleaning business, owned a restaurant. Excuse me. And I was like, wow, in a cleaning business. That was the fourth one. I had 77 people on payroll. Here I thought I was a small business, but I was being taxed as a big business owner. So I was like, man, I had to learn all that. So I got around people who looked at me and said, man, you got a big business here. If you want some mentorship, so that's my first stage of having mentorship, how to handle all that, just not just the people, but the money and the insurances and all the stuff that came with that. But it was very lucrative, but I always never told people, you don't work for me, you work with me. That's another set of the mindset of a leader. We don't look at being the boss of anybody. See, the minute you give somebody a title, you call them a manager, and there's no description of what you want that person to do as a manager, they're going to develop the mindset of their own, what they think a manager should be. And next thing you know, you got a little headache going on. And so to me, I always say, let's bring leadership into your organization. Let's bring leadership at the top level, and then we'll work our way down. And then the next thing you know, you have a unit. You have a unit that comes together. And so when I started to develop all that, I was like saying, "Oh my gosh, this is tough. This is really tough." But I also knew as those people came into my life, 77 people worked with me right until I had a crisis in my life. And we won't get into that, but I had a crisis in my life and everything went kapoof. And it wasn't in a good place to be. But understanding that, you know what, if you get knocked down, you can get back up. See, a leader will have the mindset that that's just a bump in the road if he understands how to get through it, how to get over, how to get around it, or how to go through it. And so we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. I just wanted to give you a little background on me. You know, I'm still young, I'm still vibrant, I'm still kicking, and I love this. I love this. So Leo, let's go to our first slide, and let's find out what is this. The mindset of a leader. The mindset of a leader. He is a dreamer. A dreamer. We always talk about the American dream. Well, you know what? Everyone today says, "Oh, the American dream is gone." No, it's not. The American dream is alive. It is kicking. It is breathing. You want to know why? Because the American dream is you. I always tell people, let's stop settling for what life is giving to us and let's start dreaming of the possibilities. The possibilities of what? Whatever you want. Whatever you want. If you want more time in your life, great. We can show you how to do that. If you want more money in your life, we can show you how to do that. If you want both of them in your life, we call that freedom, gang. Anytime you can put time and money together, we call that freedom. Because why? We're going to show you the mindset and vehicles that can get you from point A to point B if you choose. Because remember, someone gave you agency, gang. Someone gave you agency, and it's up to you to figure out what to do with that agency, right? So no one can take your dream away from you. You only give it to someone, or you allow something to steal it from you. You know, there's a lot of dream stealers out there. There's a lot of people out there say, you can't do that. A lot of people told me that growing up. Oh, Les, you think you're going to do that? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you. And it gave me a bigger drive. It gave me hunger. It gave me the mindset to say, you know what? I can't listen to the ones. I can't associate with the ones. And what I'm talking about, these might be people that you think love you. They may be close to you. They could be a family member, a friend, whoever. Those are the ones that are really you got to stay away from when you're on the quest for becoming an entrepreneur and having the mindset of an entrepreneur. I got to tell you this little story. I love telling this story. It kind of gives you an idea if we've gotten complacent over the years, or even all you that are on this phone right now. Have you lost your dream? One day, you know what, Leo and I was sitting on my porch. We were drinking some lemonade, and my little dog Duke was sitting on the porch with us. And then all of a sudden, she said, "Les, what's Duke doing?" I said, "Well, he's trying to chase the rabbit." And she goes, "I hope he doesn't catch the rabbit." I said, "No, he won't catch the rabbit. Rabbit's too fast for him." But you know what? In Duke's mind, it might be his dream to catch the rabbit. But we don't want him to catch the rabbit, but it's his dream. Okay? And her and I just sitting there, and she goes, "Doesn't he ever get tired?" I said, "No." I said, "The only way he's going to stop is if the rabbit runs off, is out of his eyesight. Then therefore, guess what? He stops, comes back, sits on the porch with us." But then she comes back a week later, and her and I are sitting on the porch, and all of a sudden, she looks around and she says, "Hey man, what's wrong with Duke?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, why is he howling so bad?" She goes, "Les, what's wrong with him?" I said, "He's sitting on a nail." She goes, "Doesn't that hurt?" I said, "It doesn't hurt bad enough for him to get off of it." So then we talk about Duke one more time. So she comes to my house a week later. We're sitting down. All of a sudden, she sees Duke runs, jumps off the porch. And then all of a sudden, she goes, "What's wrong with Duke now, Les?" I said, "Nothing." She goes, "What is he chasing?" I came the first day, he was chasing a rabbit. I come the second time, he's sitting on a nail. The third time, I'm saying he's just running around. "Do you think he's going crazy? Do you need to put him down?" I said, "No, that's his dream, gang." See, when you start to dream or become a dreamer, that's the mindset of a leader. You hold on to that. I always tell people I'm looking for the guy and the gal who can dream till their dream comes true. That's what I help people do. I help them dream till their dreams come true. Now all of a sudden we think Duke is crazy, but no, when you get a dream and you're passionate about it, gang, people are going to think you're crazy. They're going to want to put you down. They're going to want to try to steal it from you. And whatever it might be, you might want to start your own business. You might want to get a raise. You might want to, whatever you want to do, you have to understand that the dream is inside of you. And once that light is gone, then some of us get complacent. So if you're looking to be a leader, or you're already a leader, you got to keep that dream burning inside of you. You never arrive. You never arrive. Because I always tell everybody, you know where the biggest dreamers are? They're in the cemetery because they refuse to live them. I refuse to do that. You should refuse to do that. But the mindset of a leader is developing the vision. You got to have vision. And I'm not talking about 2020 vision. You got to have clear, crystal vision. Your vision has to be more than the next person that's looking at you. Because, see, most people have lost vision. You know, it was said biblically, a man without a dream will perish. I always say a man without vision is going to perish. So if we're not visionaries, guess what? How can we lead anybody? See, people are looking for us to hold their dream till they catch a dream. People are looking for us to have a vision until they catch the vision in which we have so that they can become part of it. And then the next piece is creation. Creation. What are we creating? What are we creating for ourselves? What are we creating for our families? What are we creating? Because we have to have the mindset to be able to create. The best creator, I think, was Walt Disney. One, he had a dream. He had a dream to create Disney World, Disneyland. But who he featured, he needed a friend, gang. He needed a friend. He needed Mickey. Mickey was nothing without Walt. Walt was nothing without Mickey. Okay? But then once he had the dream inside of his head, guess what? He had to visualize it. He had to visualize what Mickey was going to look like. It had to be crystal clear. First, Mickey was black and white. Then he had to figure out how to get Mickey off the paper. And then once he got him off the paper, he had to put color to him. Then he started to create the friendship that he had between the two of them. That's creation. We all know who the great creator is. He created us. He created us. And so we get a chance to be what? A dreamer. Have vision in creation. We'll go to the next slide, you know. Commitment. Oh my gosh. I talked to the children today. I do a youth leadership. Actually, I'm going to be doing a youth leadership in July out in Utah. There should be close to 50 to 75 youth that I've known these children ever since they were probably in their mom's belly. The youngest will probably be the 8, the oldest will probably be 30. And this is very important because you have to commit to have the mindset. So what are we doing? What are we doing mentally? Well, we have to feed ourselves mentally. We have to read. They say leaders are readers, right? We have to read. We have to read things that are about leadership. You know, you have to sit back and say, okay, who do I think is a great leader? And then you find out. You get a book on that person's story. You get a book on that person's life, and you get a chance to mimic. See, everything I know, I love it. I love it. Because why? See, in the world that I grew up in when I was going to school, I used to look over, they call that cheating, call that plagiarizing. Today, I get paid to plagiarize, so it's pretty good. I like it. Not just joking, right? You have to feed the mind mentally. Okay, a great book that you want to feed your mind mentally is, and becoming and having the mindset of a leader is Understanding People. The greatest book. I read this book every year. There's only 3 books I read. I'm going to give them to you. The first book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, some of you might have read that book, but have you applied that book? Sometimes we read, but we don't apply. Sometimes we read and we need to ponder. See, ponder. You say, how can I put what I'm reading into my life? See, that's what makes me so good at where I'm at down at the restaurant. I know people's temperaments. Okay, and I won't get into the temperaments. Okay, but that book will change your life. You want to be, if you're a manager and you want to become a leader, read that book. It'll just take you to a whole nother level. people will see you differently than they see you today. But then you will be able to communicate. That's another set of a leader, communication. You'll be able to communicate with those individuals because you will know their temperament. Okay, the next book is the 5 love languages. Okay, 5 love languages. You want to know the people's love language. If you know their temperament and their love language, you can get an individual to do just about anything in their best interest, not yours, their best interest. Because why? As a leader, okay, as a leader and developing the mindset of a leader, we're always other centered. We're never self centered. We're always other centered. We're always looking at what tool can I give this individual to succeed in the job or jobs that they may have. So you always have to feed yourself. Okay, so those are 2 great books. If you haven't read them, I would read them. If you've read them before, reread them and ponder and then apply. Okay, the body. We have to nourish the body. We have to. What are we eating that's going to give us energy? Because remember, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, more energy is coming out of you than if you're going to work for somebody else. I'll tell you that right now. Because why? You have to rely on you. You have to commit to you. So you have to get yourself in shape, right? You got yourself in. You're going to the gym, you're doing a little workout. There's a lot of things you can do physically, right? There's a lot of things you can do physically, but we have to nourish our body. So that's why I said mind, mentally, books. You got these pods now. You got MP3s. You got some CDs. You got some cassettes. See, I'm going back. I'm dating myself. I still have cassettes. I still have a reel to reel. Ha ha. Now you're running saying, how old is this dude? But you know what? Physically, don't look my age. Mentally, don't people will never think. I tell my children, I'm always going to act like a child. Okay? The last one is soul. What are you doing spiritually to feed your soul? You need those 3 things to be an entrepreneur, to be a manager, to be a leader, but you have to develop the mindset mentally, physically, and spiritually. What are you doing in those areas of your life? Right? Because why? Mentally, if you're not stable, no one's going to listen to you. Physically, how can you talk to somebody if you're not physically in shape? Spiritually, well, give or take. I'm not here to talk on all that, but I'm just saying this is the mindset that you're going to need to develop in your commitment to being an entrepreneur, being a manager, or even becoming a leader. Okay, the next one, Leola. The American Dream. I love this, gang. I never was in the military, but I have a group of men that are in the military, and I was taught by one of my mentors that Les, anytime you see someone in the military, you don't have to tell them, but this is what I do. You don't have to do what I do, but this is what I do. I buy their lunch, I buy their breakfast, I buy their dinner. So I've always been paying tribute and paying forward to our military because you know what they allow us to what live our dreams. So what is the American dream? The American dream is the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they were born into, can attain their own version of success in a society in which upward mobility is possible for everyone. I love that, gang. I love that. Now, that's me. That's not you. I'm just reading and giving you what makes you become an entrepreneur. What gives you the mindset of becoming an entrepreneur? It's living the American dream. See, most of us don't feel like the American dream is the person that we're working for because why? Think about when we were children. Is the things that you hung up, ladies? I'm going to talk to you right now. Is the guy that you had on your wall? Is that the guy that's with you today? I don't know. Are you doing what you thought you were going to do when you had it hanging on the wall? I don't know. See, we all had those pictures on the wall. I tell my grandchildren today, I said, put as many pictures up on the wall as you can. Because that kind of tells me what they're thinking. What are they thinking of becoming? You know, we have to overcome to become. I'll say that again. We have to overcome to become. So to me, the biggest dream board when we were growing up was on our wall in our bedrooms. And then when we felt like we weren't gonna get them, here's the one that I don't. When did we make the decision to peel off what we had on our wall? What age were we? What age were we when we peeled that off and said, I'm never gonna have that? Remember, we got a dream till the dream comes true. That's a mindset. And you have to build that in your mind every day. I am living my American dream. I am. There was so much one who was much more powerful than we are, because those are some powerful words to say, I am. Okay, I am. So we'll go to the next slide. Two things in life you, not anybody else, you control. That's your attitude. Your attitude. Do you understand that 100% of what you do is based on your attitude, regardless if it was positive or negative? I'll give you a little exercise. It's probably going to be kind of hard here, but if you take the word attitude and you put the numbers to it, it should spell out 100% when you're done. So to get an idea, the letter A would be 1. The T would be whatever that number falls in the alphabet. The I would whatever that. The U would fall whatever that. The D would fall that. E would fall that. And you get 100. Okay, and it would be 100% positive attitude, 100% negative attitude. So if you're hanging around negative people, you're going to be negative. See, if you hang around positive people, you're going to be positive. Remember, it's always association. If you want to be a good leader and you want to develop a mindset, a good leader is a good follower. See, so many people felt like once they meet a leadership role, then they think that's it, they have arrived. No, you continue to foster those things. It is easy to have a bad attitude. It takes work to have a positive attitude. So we just say, what's your attitude? You decide when you wake up that day, what is that going to look like for you? Okay? Effort. Well, I just talked about that a little bit. It takes effort. Gang. No one's going to say, oh, he was a born leader. Oh, I don't understand. He was a gifted. He was a born leader. No such thing as a born leader. So if you hear people say that, there's no such. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes commitment. It takes determination. It takes grit. I love when Steve Harvey said, to be a leader, an entrepreneur, you got to get a little dirt on you. A little dirt. A little dirt don't hurt anybody. Okay? Because why? You got to shake it off. Got another little story for you. I love stories. Another little story. There was this farmer. He was farming, and all of a sudden he hears this. And he's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? He goes over to the well, and he sees his donkey had fallen into the well. And so he was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So he went to his neighbors, and he said, hey, I need your help. So one guy brings his tractor over, they bring the rope over, and they just can't get the donkey out. They've been working on it for a while. And finally, after a few hours or so, one guy says, you know what? We're going to have to bury him. And I'm going to show you how the donkey had an attitude and how he had effort. So all of a sudden, they started taking shovels of dirt, throwing it in. And every time they threw dirt in there, the donkey would shake it off. And they throw some more dirt in, the donkey shook it off. And they did this numerous of times. And finally, they threw enough dirt in there that the donkey shook enough dirt off that he was able to walk out of that well. Isn't that something? Now, how are we walking in life? What's our attitude looking like? If people are looking at us as being a leader or having the mindset of a leader, what kind of attitude we have? It's hard, gang. It's hard to always be positive. Trust me, it's hard. Okay? But when you look at your attitude for what it is today, you're going to be a better you for tomorrow. Put in the effort, put in the work, and guess what? Those are two things you control. Let's go to the next slide, Leo. Oh my gosh. I played sports all my life. Um, and it goes back to plagiarizing and cheating. Okay, because I wasn't a very good student in school. My dream, my passion was always play professional football. I was going to the NFL game. I didn't care what team I played for. I was going to the NFL. I'm gonna say that again because I'm still passionate about it. I was going to the NFL. So grades didn't mean anything to me. I didn't feel like to hit somebody or to run the ball or play defense or run offense or be a kicker or punter. I didn't need algebra to do that. I didn't need trigonometry to do that. I didn't need all the things that you needed to qualify from high school to go to college to play professional football. I just didn't feel like I needed that because I felt like I was good and I was going to become great. Okay. And so it hurt me down the road. But I'm not talking about professional or any type of sports in this. There's a book called The Game of Life. And this is another book that will change your life. Okay? It was written years and years and years ago. But if you read it and you ponder it and you put it into your life today, trust me, starting today, okay, it will change your life. Okay? And this is another book that I read and reread and reread. It says, do it for the love of the game. Game, we're playing the game of life. We play the game of life mentally, physically, and spiritually. Okay? You have to fall in love with the game that you're playing. Okay? Because life is a game. To me, you're either going to be a sheep or you're going to be a lion. I had an incident that came up when my dad passed away 2 years ago, and my oldest brother came to me and he said, "You know what, Les? I always look at you as being the older brother." I said, "Well, I'm not." He said, "But you just have so much wisdom." I said, "I'm just an old man in a young man's body." That was a little joke. He chuckled, and he said, "No, it's funny how we all grew up in the same household, two brothers, two sisters, but we all turned out differently." And I said, "Well, that's true." I said, "But I play the game differently than you other four." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, the game of life to me, Alan, is I don't want the world to influence me. I want to become an influencer of the world." And I'm on a journey in doing that. I've helped people mentally, I've helped them physically, and I've helped them spiritually. Okay. I've helped them get out of debt. I help them understand to become the financial stewardship of their money. Okay. I've helped people in any areas that they need help with. That's why I call it a game of life. I tell people we all go through storms. When I had a crisis in my life at the age of 33, oh my gosh, I thought the world had come to an end. But that was just the beginning of me being humbled so that I could become the man I am today. Okay. So the game of life is basically you're in a storm, you go into the middle of the storm, or you're coming out of the storm. But in those storms, you develop the mindset of a leader because you have to learn in the fall. Okay. You have to learn how did you fall. When you're in the fall, you have to learn how to get out of the fall. And once you get out of the fall, you can take what you've learned because you're going back into another storm. And most people don't know how to process that. An entrepreneur knows how to process that. A leader knows how to process that because time is the most important thing in an entrepreneur's life because we don't know how much time we have. When we're young, we think we're going to live forever. When we start to get older, now we have to use what we've learned in the past to use what we're going to gain in the future. I think I would become a better speaker. I think more people want me to come and speak for them. Not that I'm asking, but I think as I get older, I'm going to become more wiser. I'm going to have more wisdom behind me. So who wouldn't want to come see an old man on a Zoom or on stage? I love it. I love it because I love the game of life. I play to win, but I also have to play for others to win. I only win when other people win. One of my mentors was the great Zig Ziglar. Okay. Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll eventually, watch this now, you'll eventually get what you want. But you know where the gratification comes? Is to see people that I mentor now, watch them grow. Do you understand? Most of the people that have become my biggest leaders were introverts in the beginning. They were introverts. They weren't the get up and go person. The get up and go person had to be humbled, had to be knocked down before we could rebuild them to have some humility. And that's what the game of life will do to you. Either you're going to influence when you walk through that door, or guess what? When you walk through that door, you're going to allow whatever's out there to influence you. Have a serving mentality. That's big. We at Knights of Destiny, we teach to have a servant heart. You have a servant heart, the other part will come. Mentally, you become a serving individual. Again, we're taking our eyes off ourselves, we're putting it on someone else. Never allow someone, when you're managing, don't try to get someone or tell somebody to do something if you're not willing to do it. You got to get in there and get down dirty. You have to let people see that you're willing to do it, because guess what? They will fall into place, because they look at you as their manager or their leader, and they'll think that, oh, he shouldn't be doing that. They value you more than when they see you doing what you're asking them to do. Trust me, I live that every day. In my house, I tried to find out who's going to outserve the next person. You know, if my kids was told them to go get the garbage, I'd go out there try to grab the garbage before them. I wanted to let them see who can outserve who. And guess what? All 6 of my children today are servers. They are. We believe in others because others don't believe in themselves. That's a big one. That's a big one. You might have a friend right now who looks up to you, but you don't know that. But they want your lifestyle. They want your car. They want your job. They want it, and they're afraid to ask you. And maybe someday might throw little hints that you don't pick up on. Okay? And so what happens is you miss the opportunity. We believe in others when they don't believe in themselves. My dad always said people are rotting from the inside out. They can make themselves look good. They can fake it for a while, but if they're dying inside, it eventually comes out. That's what we do. We go into people. We give them life. We breathe life into them. We let them know that, hey, you know what? You are a child of someone. Okay? And if you're a child of someone, that person is giving you a name. That name is who you stand for. That we start building people up. And the best way to believe in others is to give them edification. Edification is to build one up. You have to have the mindset. It's easy for a leader or a manager to bring the edification to themselves, but you have to give it back. You can't keep it. Okay? You can't keep it. You always have to give life to others. Okay? Because they're seeking. More people today are looking for someone to lead them, not manage them. They're looking for someone to lead them because they want something better in life. I always say when people are sitting down praying, if they pray, they're asking whoever, hey, I need something different in my life. And you might be over here as a leader or a manager or an owner or something saying, how can I make my staff better? And somehow it comes together. Okay? It comes together because people are hurting today. And those of us that are leaders who will want to become leaders or managers or owners of businesses, we have to think of them. There's that word attitude, have a winning attitude. You know, you'd be surprised how many people that have come in front of me that didn't have a winning attitude. You know, a lot of times people say they're going to do something and they're not going to do it. They even say they're going to do it for themselves. If a person's willing to lie to themselves, they're going to lie to you. What we have to do is teach people how to win in the game of life. The only way you're going to have a win in the game of life is if you have a great attitude for the game of life. You see, people get in front of me negative. They try to say this and try to say that. I don't need to defend anything that I do. I know who I am. I know where I come from, right? I know all the people that I've helped. And it's not help them become successful. It's help them get out of the situation in which they got themselves into so that they can have a better life. That's what I call a winning attitude. Okay, Leola, to the next one. Hope y'all are getting excited about this because we still got a little bit more to cover.
All right, did I go? I might have gone the wrong way. Hold on.
Okay.
That one?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. You know, so many people today quit on themselves. a leader having the mindset never quits. Remember, we have to dream till the dream comes true. We have to have the vision. We have to be the creator of what we want to do in our life. So we never quit on ourselves. Other people around us may quit, but we cannot quit on ourselves. I'm a winner. You know, I used to always say, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I look at myself in the mirror. People used to think I was conceited. I say, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. Then I got around a mentor and he says, no, you're not just a winner. You're a winner walking, a winner walking. You know, then I became, you know, I am a walking, talking good deal. That's what I tell myself. My self-talk is unbelievable, gang. But back in the day, I didn't just say it to myself. I said it out loud. So then people had a misrepresentation of me. They thought I was conceited. They thought I was self-centered. But that was my self-talk at a very early age because I got around people who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And that was to build me up. It was to build me up. Hey, I know what it's like to be the guy who in gym, everybody wanted on their team. Why do you get less this time? Well, we get less. Oh, why don't we get less? So it was like, I was like the hero, right? I was like the hero. But then what happened was we go to math class or we go to spelling bee or we have a thing and everybody's like, oh, we got to take less. We got to take less. So, you know, so I was like, in gym, I was the man. In anything else, people were like, oh, less, no hard feelings. But because I was the first one to sit down. But I didn't quit. I tried. You know, I always tried, but I never quit. And what you have to do is look at people and don't let them quit on themselves. Let them know that we believe in them. Here's one of my favorite right here. Tell the most stories. I like telling my story. I like telling my life. I'm in the midst of writing a book right now. And my wife, she's been on me. You know, I have to give a lot of praise to her because I'm a big dreamer. I have big vision, and I'm a big creator. It scares her sometimes. She says, "Well, do you think it'll ever stop?" I said, "Honey, if it ever stopped, then I'll be shrinking my dreams to meet my paycheck, and I want my paycheck to be big. So I got to be a big dreamer. Okay, I got to have big vision, and I have to be a big creator because the minute you shrink your dreams to meet your paycheck, you become complacent. And I've never become complacent. And you should never be complacent. So in the game of life, we're playing the game to tell our stories. I always tell my people when they're in a leadership, he who tells the most stories wins. He who tells the most stories about themselves wins. Today, we're creating a story for me. I am so humbled and have an attitude of gratitude that Leola would invite me along with her team at SCORE to be able to present this information to each and every one of you. I am very humble. You know, we fight against the odds, okay? We fight against the odds. What are the odds? Every time we wake up, the odds are against us. I was told by one of my mentors spiritually, the best work a man and a woman can do is in the walls of their own home. I'll say that again because that is so important and is so true. The best work a man and a woman can do is in the walls of their own home. The odds are already stacked against us. So how do we play that game? We play to win. We play to tell our stories. We tell ourselves we're never going to quit. Never quit. Because what are we going to quit to? The same thing we're running away from. I'll say it again. What are we going to quit to is the same thing that we're running away from. Now, you have to decide, you have to fill in that blank. Because I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody. I'm just saying, when you quit and you lose your dream and you lose your vision and you stop creating, you lost. You lost the game of life. But we don't know how long we're going to play the game because we don't know how long we're going to be here. So we're going to fight against the odds. And we get around the things that are going to develop the things that we need to give us the tools to fight against the odds. Refuse to lose, gang. Refuse to lose. There's no losers on this Zoom meeting. No losers. Because I wouldn't be speaking to losers. You're all winners. You're winners. You may not think you are, but if you write down this information I'm giving you today and you ponder it and you read those books, I guarantee I can guarantee you. Why can I guarantee you? Because I'm living proof that it works. I can guarantee you that I can give you people that will tell you that it works. Refuse to lose. Losing is no way of having a good attitude. Refuse to lose. You're winners. You'll continue to be winners if you apply the information. Okay, Leola, what's our next slide?
I think
Wow.
we're getting close to the end, and I did have a question in the chat box. I might have to get back into chat, or they wrote it into Q&A. But I'll let you wrap it up, or I can ask a question or two.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it. Hey, gang, I just hope everything that I shared with you today, that was probably a 3-hour talk that I condensed into about 45 minutes. And I just want you all to know how much I appreciate you coming out. And I hope you can take away something today. I hope you can just take away something that you can apply in your life starting today, starting tomorrow, or whenever you get a chance to look at this again or read this again or whatever, how it's going to come to you. But I just want you to know leadership is action. It's not positioning. Leadership is action. And if you're fearful of becoming a leader, then guess what? All you need to do is get around someone who you think has the qualities or that you want to be like, so that therefore you can start to change. Because if you learn something, you will automatically change. And if you want to change, you have to learn something. So you can't learn something and not change unless you don't apply it. But if you want change, you have to learn something to be able to change. So I just want to say thank you again, Score. Thank you again, Leola, for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you so much, Les. All right, I have a question for you. I have somebody that says, how do you get young employees to take risks and to learn from their mistakes? Said they find new employees are afraid to fail and are too shy to ask for help. So how do you get young employees to take risks and to learn from their mistakes?
Well, let's answer the first one. The first one is take a risk. Young people aren't going to take risks today, okay, because they're afraid that they may be fired. So you, as the employee or the manager or the leader, you have to let them know that, you know what, this is where we want to see you progress. We're going to give you all the tools that is necessary for you to progress. There's no failing here. We just want to take you to the next level. We see something that you might be here today, but I'm looking for you to be here in a year. It might be someone going from a cash register to, from bagging groceries to being running the cash register, or someone that might be at the low end of the totem pole, and you want to plant the seed that we would like to see you here in a year. So when we're talking about risk, it's not risk for them. It's more or less you developing them and showing them where you would like them to be. Okay. Now, to get the young people to say, well, they're afraid of failing. Well, you know what? You have to relay that to them. You can't fail in what you're doing. I believe in you. You're going to be here for as long as you want to be here. Okay. You have to instill that in the individual. Young people today, they're the, the whole thing about them is you have to communicate. It's going on in the restaurant that I work at now. We have a lot of young people that I've hired into the restaurant because I told the restaurant owner, you want young people to come in. If you want your restaurant to be around another 45 years, okay, and that's a long time for a restaurant in Florida. This restaurant's been around for 45 years. If you want around another 45 years, you got to start teaching the young people. And he says, that's why I hired you. And what I usually do is I say, look, I want to give you the tools to get you to become a better server, you know? And they'll go, what do you mean? I said, well, one, you can't look the way you look. You got to get a better uniform. When you come in, you got to be pressed. You got to look like you've been serving here for years. But I'm going to give you the tools to be able to do that. There's no gum chewing. We got to stop the gum, so bam, that's done. Oh, smoking, no smoking. I can't tell you that you can't smoke. I'm just saying during the hours of operation, no smoking, because we don't want people thinking that they can come there and they smell smoke on you. Not going to tolerate that. So it's just those things to help that individual become a better person in that position that you want them to do. Okay, young people are so hard. You got to communicate with them. They're almost like little babies. You got and to me, what I find out when you're talking to them, don't talk down to them. Talk with them. But the whole thing about this is every time I want a young person to make a change, I'm always putting my hand on their shoulder. I know you can do this. I want you around. I believe in you. We're going to give you the tools that you need to succeed here. And we're going to evaluate and see where you're at. That's what they need.
Perfect. I have another question for you. Can you explain the relationship between attitude, behavior, action, results?
Hey, attitude. I got to go slow, so I might forget those.
Okay, that's fine.
Attitude is number one. Okay. If a person has a bad attitude, the other things aren't going to be in play. Okay, you can help a person work on their attitude, but they have to have the attitude or the willingness to change their attitude. If a person doesn't think they have a bad attitude, then guess what? That's not a person that you're going to want around. You can't change that person. They're already fixed in their mind. I had a couple of them, and they're not working with us anymore, right? But a person who says, "Hey, Les, I'm willing to change my attitude. Can you help me?" Oh, sure. Now, what was the next one after that?
Behavior.
Behavior. Okay. Well, let's look at it. We have behavior that's not appropriate, right? I had that going on in the restaurant. You know, it's the behavior is people feel as though I don't care how old you are. You know, I told people I am not going to tolerate the bad language that's going on in the restaurant. I'm not going to tolerate that. And I said it will be cleaned up within this next week. So everybody was like, "Well, who the heck he think he is?" I said, "Your language will be cleared up in the next week." Because my dad always said, "You know what? You don't have to take something away from somebody, okay? You just got to hit them where it hurts." Well, servers have a problem. So you take shifts away. So I said, anybody that I catch, okay, within the next week, so I give you a week to clean up your language, guess what? You'll be suspended. Okay? Guess what? Don't hear much cursing in the restaurant right now because that's an environment that I control. They don't control it, I control it. If I don't want bad language, I'm not bad language. Other things, you know, in the restaurant business or wherever, I said, we're not going to be doing none of the fondling either. All that's going to stop. And I had to be very strict about it because I said, every young man, I call everybody young in the restaurant, every young man, this is behavior now. See, sometimes you got to go back and treat even grown-ups like little children. Every man, young man that's working in this restaurant, you're my son. Every young lady working in this restaurant, you're my daughter. And I instill that in all my meetings. So if I hear inappropriate behavior or inappropriate language, you're going to be suspended. So we clean that up. So we're taking steps on the behavior. For every bad behavior, there's got to be a consequence. Got to be a consequence. Okay. So we have attitude. We got behavior. Can
And
one control?
actions.
Can one control his behavior from his attitude? Sure he can. Sure he can. So we take action. Well, action is basically what I just said. Action is basically for every bad behavior, there's got to be a consequence. You see, a lot of times as managers and leaders, we fall into what I call a bad category where we want to be liked. Okay. When you're a leader, I can't say manager. When you're a leader, there's a bullseye on your back every day. But people will respect you if you do what you're asking them to do and they see you do it. So first you're taking action, but again, there's attitude controls the behavior controls their action. Well, you really control their actions because you're basically saying, look, your behavior is not where it needs to be. Is it a suspension? Is it a termination? Whatever it is. But you see, in areas where I work, people want to be friends. And it's okay to be friends. But you, as a manager or leader, you need to stay away from that because now they're going to think you're as equal as them. And that's what I'm teaching the young lady that I'm grooming to become the next leader, okay, in the restaurant. So you can't hang out with them because they're going to think you're equal now. You always have to let them know that you're here and they're there only because of the position that you're going to hold. My attitude is I let people know straight up in my meeting, you don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but we're going to have to like one another to be able to work together. So we can work on our relationships, we can work on our communication, we can work on those things. That's taking action. But again, behavior is followed with attitude, attitudes follow behavior, and then the action is taking place. So if people understand their role and what they're going to do here, and that there's, I call it what I call it the high level of air, meaning either you're going to suck the air out of the room or they're going to suck the air out of the room. And we know what happens when people have bad behavior and attitude. They suck the air out of the room. Well, we can't allow that. So everybody has their role. But you're not, I'm not saying you beat people up now. You learn to communicate. And you'll be able to communicate if you read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the 5 Love Languages. You know, let's say, for instance, I have you're a server, right? And I say, I know your love language. You want words of affirmation. So every time you do something, I'm the first one to come over and say, Leo, that was awesome how you set up that table. Leo, I saw how you greeted that table. It builds you up. That's edification because I know you were. Now, some people might be uh, uh, words of their love language might be touch, physical touch. Well, I'm not going to touch you. That's why I always tell people I'll do it with a male, I'll do it with a female. I take action to let you know what I'm going to tell you is sincere, right? But that's your love language, physical touch. You know, we're giving away. I'm bringing back employee of the month. Okay. Well, the first 2 people that have gotten employee of the month, they love gifts, so that's their love language. So the first girl, we gave $100 gift card to the restaurant, and she just sat there and cried, "Oh my God, I can't believe I got such a big gift." That was her love language. Okay, the guy that's going to get it this time, his love language is what? Gifts. So we're going to give it to him. He's going to do the same thing. So you got to know your players. That's understanding the game.
And the very last part was result. So you may have touched upon that already, but result was the last.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Most people in an employee role, a manager role, a leadership, you have to have the mindset again, right? You have to have the mindset again. Is what? Most people will beat themselves up over the results when they should have been beating themselves up over the action which creates the results. See, how can someone say, "Oh, the store's going to do $10,000 this month"? Well, that's the results. But if you go back and say, what is it going to take for us as a team to hit $10,000, and there was no action put behind it, then guess what? Why are you beating the staff up over the results when you didn't set them up to go for it? Because everything has to have goals to reach it. But see, most people don't do that. Most people say, "Oh, you didn't do your job properly," or "You didn't do this," and they're looking at the results. When you say, "Let's look at the action that went into it," if we have a 30-day calendar and only 7 days of action went in to hit that $10,000 a month, how can anybody be upset over the results? You can't. You can't.
Oops, I keep turning my slides the wrong direction. But I think we are out of time. There is one more thing in Q&A, but I'll just go over a couple of things here in case anybody needs to go. All participants today will receive a copy of the slides and this video presentation in their email. And I would like to thank everybody for attending today. We will send you a survey via email so you can let us know what is it that we can do to improve, or what other topics are you interested in. And let me just go right back to Q&A. Oh, I've got one more, Les, if you have a few minutes. I mean, I could not let you leave, but hold on. Any advice on someone that is a big part of a team but repeats those same behaviors?
What position is he in? What role is he on the team?
Angel, can you give us a little more info either in Q&A or chat? Let me see. What position is that person in? Oh, there we go. Is a big seller. The person is a big seller. So any advice on someone that's a big part of the team, but repeats the same behavior? And it said they're a big seller.
Okay. Now, what position does this individual play on the team?
It doesn't say anything other than that.
Okay. The only reason why I say that is because yes, okay, management or leadership or whoever might let his behavior go because he's a big salesperson. But deep down inside, that individual is not a team player because they're self-centered and not other-centered. So that's why I asked, what position does this person that's asking the question, what position do they play on the team? Does that make sense?
I think I understand. So Angel, they might want to know what position, Les wants to know what position you hold as well. And the person asking the question, Les, is a sales manager. So maybe one of their big sellers on her team
Hmm.
continues to repeat. I'm assuming bad behavior. It does not say that. It just says the same behaviors.
Okay, so she's in a leadership role, right?
Sounds like that.
So now what she needs to do is set a standard. Even though he's the best seller, right? And you don't want to take that away from him, but we have to say your behavior has been this way for this amount of time. I think you and I need to talk about it.
Absolutely. All right. So Angel, I hope that helped you out there. And once again, just thank you everybody so much for attending today. And I think that draws us to a conclusion. Bunch of Lester, I know you're not reading the chat box, but bunch of positive comments coming through. So I can't thank you enough for sharing your enthusiasm with us today.
Well, thank you.
And have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.